People ask me a lot, what's the hardest part of what I do? And my instant response is always that it's the hardest thing about what I do and has always been is navigating the ignorance of people in the Christocentric realm. And when I say ignorance, I do not mean in any way stupidity. Some highly intelligent people, incredibly gifted, passionate, creative souls, beautiful beings on a lot of levels, who, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, who just know that they don't know that they don't know. The biases that are in there, the ignorance, which is, there's a difference between a stupidity of having something presented and not comprehending. Even that, it wouldn't even, I don't know where I would even apply the word stupid, except maybe some of the things I've done in the world. I don't know if I could ever apply that to another person. That being said, the realization of ignorance is just not knowing. And it makes what I do very difficult because people funny, this thing popped up on Facebook like 2 or 3 weeks ago for me from the year 2011, 11 years ago. And it said, what's the paraphrasing, what's the most difficult thing about what I do? People ask me all the time. And it's funny, I'm like, even back then, I was like, well, it's dealing with people's prejudice, which is the ignorance. People's, a lot like, say, people that I went to school with or grew up with, and they see Reverend Dale Allen Hoffman, or they see a post of mine without watching the whole video, and they go, oh, so now he's gone Christian. He's he's a Bible banger. He's a Jesus lover. He's a Bible lover. Or the opposite. Some people that are dyed in the wool are like, oh my God, no, he's a Jesus hater. He's an atheist. He's a whatever that may be. Well, all of that is the BS that restricts and constricts us from being open in the moment. I have that video I made a couple years ago that's called, Have I Rattled Your Precious Cage? What's the cage? It's the cage of indoctrination. It's the cage of conditioning. And what people don't consciously often realize is that when you hear a catalytic force, and I'm not necessarily calling myself force majeure or something like that, but what I'm saying is someone who has an idea that's outside of your constructs of how you hold reality, and you hear something that's kind of blurring or outside the lines of that, at first you're not going to hear what they're actually saying. You might hear one thing, we'll get through that door, the door pops open, then all of a sudden you go into that panic mode because you're literally going to feel as if you're dying. It's part of the ego, the individualized self, starting to not self-destruct, but actually kind of come apart at the seams, start rolling up at the edges, and you're going to have this impending feeling of doom, of all what, it's a word in Aramaic that is essentially, I would translate as Holocaust. Holocaust, meaning an absolute destruction, okay? And that's what we feel. So then you're not really hearing what I'm saying, you're hearing only what it's resonating within you. And that's not bad, it's part of the process. My first experiences around these deeper teachings was like that. I could comprehend it for 5 minutes and then I'd go blotto. And I always tell people, don't try to understand what I'm saying for the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. Just allow yourself to be open with me. Be aware of the rise and fall of your breath. Feel those energetic and emotional shifts that are moving through your system, and just stay open. We're recording it, and you can listen back to the recording thousands of times, and that's when the actual intellectual integration happens. It will not happen on the first pass. You'll have a little bit of a door open, and then boom, Pandora's box opens up, okay? Well, the hardest part of what I do is taking on the intensity of people's judgments, the prejudices, the fears, the phobias. And what I've learned over the years is not to fight back, to be able to, it's a stupid idea, even if you're fighting for something, it means you don't believe it. Let's be clear. Okay? You're not going to, and let me phrase that a little differently. That's not exactly what I'm saying there, but what I am saying that is you feel affronted when someone challenges your belief system or challenges your way of living, then that is really kind of that's pretty much an indicator that you haven't integrated, you haven't fully believed it. So I don't want to blur that up with the idea of fighting for something that maybe you really should fight for. Okay? That being said, it's a really difficult thing for me that I've had to learn. The people that want to tear me down, the people that want to tear you down, they're not really tearing you down. They're just scared. And there's no reason to have pity on that. There's no reason to talk down to them. The greatest thing is to learn how to speak with people where they are, in the ripeness of where they are, not having ideas of higher and lower or anything, but actually just coming from the heart. If you come from the heart, you stay in humility, people will respond. It may take a while. If you're doing it to try to convince somebody, then maybe you need a little more time at the back in the cauldron to cook a little longer. Because when it's really truly actualizing, it doesn't really matter anymore whether others get it or not. What matters is that you stay pure. And when I say pure, what I mean by that is crystalline in your transmissions, that you're not getting in the way, that you're not trying to force, you're not trying to lean in, okay? Allow yourself to be open, be aware of the rise and fall of your breath. When you feel that you're being torn down, just let it be. It's okay. It's okay. Trust me, I've been doing this 3 decades now. Very, very long time. And I feel like I'm just beginning. Literally right now, I'm just starting fresh. I love you all so, so dearly.